Life moves pretty fast. You don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Around the Turnbuckle. I'm Big Al by myself. That's right. The professor is having some issues, and referee Lance Marshalls is having some technical issues. Hopefully, they'll both be with me. But while they're not, hi. And also, you'll see at the bottom of your screen, ticking along, you'll see that this is the last show of 2024. Holidays are coming up. Lots going on. Professor and I are looking into different streaming venues. So we're going to take a break. Doesn't mean that the professor won't be around for SWO. He will be there for SWO next Saturday. And the following Saturday on the 23rd, 3WA's in Quakertown. So SWO next Saturday in Seven Valleys, 3WA in Quakertown. Professor will be at both. I will be at neither. Referee Lance Marshalls will probably be at both or one or the other. Most likely Quakertown. And we'll talk to him about that when he gets here. He actually commented on this before I even went on the air. Said, the countdown is on. Okay. It's a Monday night version of Around the Turnbuckle. Let's go in 1, 2. Oh, never mind the count. It's Lance Marshall. Yes. That is my point, David. Thank you very much for saying that. So yes, this is the last episode of Around the Turnbuckle in 2024. We will come back in January on Sunday, January 5th. Mark your calendars. That is the return of Around the Turnbuckle. And we will have Priest Saturn from Alabama. And we will talk to him on the 5th. Lance Marshalls is about to join me at very shortly. We're trying to work out his technical issues, and he will be here. Can't speak for the professor. I don't know if he's going to be here or not. But if you're just tuning in, it's Around the Turnbuckle, guys. It is the last episode of 2024. Would love questions or comments. Whoever's watching, go ahead and send some questions and send some comments while I'm waiting for Mr. Marshalls to show up. This is a live program, and the problem is with Facebook is you have to start on time. And so we usually live stream on just YouTube, but lately we've been doing it on Facebook because it's a little bit more interaction that people can just while you're scrolling through. Question there, Chris. Thank you, my brother, for sending a question. How's the new job going? Yes, in case you don't know, I work for McKee Foods, which is Little Debbie. And I used to have my own route, my own territory, but I no longer have that. I am now the DSR. If you see that there, yeah, Little Debbie, yeah, Cosmic Brownies. The DSR of the Lehigh Valley, which is a fancy schmancy word for there's territories in the Lehigh Valley, and I'm their support. I have customers in the Lehigh Valley, and I support them with getting new displays, getting more sales, or whatever like that. That's why you see a lot of my social media posts have something to do with Little Debbie. It's Christmas time. Go out and get your Christmas tree cakes. Not that Little Debbie is a paid sponsor, but they pay my salary, so why not? But yes, it's going very well. I'm really excited about it, and so far so good, Chris. Thank you for that. Things happening in the WWE. A lot of stuff going on. If any of you guys have been keeping up with WWE, the Bloodline storyline gets thicker and thicker, right? Now you got Sami Zayn back in the mix. You got Roman. You got the Usos. You got Sammy. The band's back together, going up against Solo's Bloodline, the evil Bloodline in War Games, right? You got Bloodline versus Bloodline. So a year ago, Survivor Series, who would have thought that, right? It's interesting. My question is, what do you do with Cody? You know, I mean, he beat Gunther 1-on-1 at Crown Jewel. Okay, great. Got the big ring or whatever. That's awesome. But I mean, who's next for Cody? Like, who's the next big challenger for Cody? That's what I'm asking you guys. So bring that back to me. So I got Lance Marshall's here. Let's see if he can hear me and I can hear him. Bring that back to me. So
I am in.
I got Lance Marshall's here. Let's see if he can hear me. We have an echo. Do you have me on speakerphone? Take me off of speakerphone. That might solve it.
Hey, how are you? Can you hear me now?
I can hear you, but we have an echo.
Everything's off at the moment.
All right, so let me try to get rid of your echo.
I know it is. I have two things going here. Hold on a second here. Let me close one out. There we go. How's that? Is it better?
Yeah.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen,
there we go.
over 20-year vet referee Lance Marshall. How you doing, Lance?
Oh man, doing awesome. How are you doing tonight?
I'm okay, man. I'm okay. I'm gonna mute you when I talk because the only reason why is because whenever I talk, it's coming right through you into my screen, so it's echoing for those who are watching at home. But my first question to you is, man, like in case anybody is watching that hasn't heard that story, like what made you fall in love with professional wrestling in the first place? I mean, obviously you love it. You get in the ring all the time. You put your body on the line because many people don't respect that about referees. And I think it's terrible because referees are in just much jeopardy in that ring when you're in there with 2 guys, 4 guys, sometimes more. So what made you fall in love with professional wrestling in the first place, Lance?
Oh man, believe it or not, Mick Foley and I share the same exact passion. It was watching Jimmy Snuka and Bob Backlund in the steel cage for the world heavyweight title. Imagine being about 5 years old and going, I don't know what they're doing. I have no idea what's going on, but I definitely want to do whatever it is they're doing. Started watching and tuning into old WWF, NWA, AWA, World Class Championship Wrestling, Universal Wrestling Federation. I mean, I was absorbing as much as I could at that time. Fell in love with guys like Dusty Rhodes, Ric Flair, the original Horsemen, gentleman Chris Adams, Terry Taylor, with whom I got the chance to meet about 15 years ago. I got a chance to meet him during an audition for TNA. Awesome guy. Got in, believe it or not, I was actually a manager when I got into the business. I was managing a tag team called the Nigerian Nightmares, who were actually childhood friends of mine. And they said to me, we want you to be a manager and we want you to come up with a gimmick. I struggled for about a day, different looks, different things, sending pictures back and forth. Finally, I found an old Lucha Libre mask and I ripped it apart and rebuilt it into a new mask for myself and was calling myself Damien Hellstorm. And for a good 2 years, man, we were tearing up the indies. We were traveling all over Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Delaware. And unfortunately, Mafu got sick and he had to bail out. Sadly, he passed many years later. And it was actually Dino Santa who came to me. He was the former owner of the 3WA. And he said, hey, Lance, what do you think about reffing? And that's when the career really took off.
Was there any referees that you looked up to, either guys in the indies that were doing it before you, or also possibly guys like some more famous referees that were on TV, like the Earl Hebners of the world, et cetera, et cetera?
For me, it was Earl Hebner. It was Tommy Young. It was watching. Just watching a lot of the guys that I grew up with, like Bronco Luvich. Um, Later on, it became apparent to me that during the Indies, I realized I didn't have too many mentors. So the one person I took on as a mentor was actually our very own Zach Carlucci. You know,
All right.
it was really his guiding hand that really brought me to where I am. Referee Steve Chaz, Tanya Stevens, like those guys were the ones who really set the bar high, and it made me work harder so that I could actually, compete on that level.
So you often talk about, you know, like when I talk to you, like at shows and stuff like that, you talk about the wear and tear on your body. Talk about that a little bit, because people don't think, what you do is as strenuous as wrestling, but you're jumping up and down, getting down, making those 3 counts, making those 2 counts. If there's a match that goes 15, 20 minutes, you might have, a dozen or 15 2 counts in there before you get the finish. So talk about the wear and tear on your body, Lance.
Well, I can tell young people who are really interested in the business, especially those who want to be referees. I would tell them cardio, cardio, cardio. Find themselves a good wrestling school. I'm thankful to be with the Dungeon, with the Mest Brothers. The one thing I
Love those
can't
guys.
stress more is ring cardio. Taking those bumps, getting back up, hitting those ropes, keep on going. Um, People don't realize it's a lot of wear and tear on your rotator cuff with making them counts. Landing on your knees, jumping up and down, wearing good knee pads helps. But, people don't realize what we do in the ring is very real. Those bumps we take, whether you be the wrestler or the referee, they take its toll. They don't realize that, concussions happen, broken bones, pulled muscles. They don't realize all that. Many years ago, early in my career, I was doing a show for a promotion sadly no longer around, and the ring was made more like an MMA ring rather than a wrestling ring. And I was taken up for a double choke slam. And when I came down, I hit, but where I hit the metal part of the ring. What I didn't realize, because I was so concussed, because the back of my head hit the canvas so hard that I had actually broke my left shoulder. And most of us, sadly on Independence, right now, most of us have shoot jobs that, we have to go to. And imagine, at the time I was working in a warehouse and having to lift heavy boxes with a broken shoulder. I didn't even know my shoulder was broken. I was so concussed. But,
Damn.
Guys, I mean, I've pulled muscles. I've had split lips. I've come off those ring canvases. My back could be bruised. Those rings are hard. People don't realize it. Yes, what we do is predetermined. There's a winner and a loser, but what we do in that ring is real. Chair shots are real. When we get hit with those chairs, they're not gimmicked. They're what the fans are sitting on. Going through a table, it's still wood. Sometimes we hit the floor below. Sometimes we have padding. Sometimes we don't. And, you can hit really hard and really blow the wind out of yourself. What we do, especially for me, I earned the moniker the Iron Man of refs because I was Iron Manning shows. I mean, you've been to shows with me where I was the only
Where you
referee
did the
in the
whole
show.
show.
Where you did the whole show. And, some of them matches, 15, 20 minutes. It was, I got blown out sometimes. By the end of a show, I was exhausted. But what people don't realize is I'd be at work in the morning, work all day, and then go to wherever the show may be and actually perform, you know?
Well, I got some comments here. Roadblock Chad McCoy says, Brother Lance, one of the best refs in the Indies. And Chris says, refs are so important. Can you talk a little bit about your favorite match? I'm sure you have more than one. Maybe you have a top 5, Lance, that you were the referee of.
Oh, absolutely. Sonny Kiss versus I'm trying to remember, Sean DePratt was probably one of my top favorites. Tony Deppen and Andy Harner was another great one. Let's see, Lance Anoa'i. Much love and respect to my young Oos who's getting ready to go up to the WWE.
He just got signed
NXT. Yes, indeed. And the funny thing is, I repped the match with him in Merck, Miami. And, I see Roadblock there. What's up, brother? I see you. But, it's funny is that you build a reputation. I have traveled up and down the East Coast. I've done shows in Pennsylvania, as you know, New York, New Jersey, Delaware. Drive 5-6 hours to a show, do the show, drive 6-7 hours back home. Some of them matches, I may have 3 matches. Some I'm doing the whole show, but my name got out there. Now there's an organization in Ohio that was looking for me. Not sure how that's going to pan out, but we'll find that out. There was one in North Carolina that apparently had seen me. So, I mean, there's always that possibility that where there's an indie show, Lance Marshall's just might be there.
All right, man. Talk about like some of your finest. Like, I know you got stories, man. 20 years, you got stories. So like stuff that stuff that happened to you that you'll never forget, moments that you'll never forget, maybe some road stories in there. Like, talk about some of that stuff.
Let's see. One of the biggest ones for me was I got a chance to be in the ring with Jerry the King Lawler. And that man was one of my biggest idols growing up. He was one of the reasons I got into the wrestling business. And here I am sitting in the same locker room, and then they go to me, "Oh, by the way, you're reffing that match." You can only imagine how excited I was. Here I am trying to be professional, and inside I'm screaming like a little girl. But I've been in the ring with a lot of guys from ECW. I've been in the ring with Little Guido. I've been in with Big Sal, Raven, Sandman. Let's see, Axel Rotten, Balls Mahoney, franchise Shane Douglas on more than one occasion. I have shared rings with the Patriot, Salvador Sincere, Tom Brandy, King Kalua, just to name a few. Getting to sit at an empty building waiting for a show to start. I sat and talked with Mouth to South Jimmy Hart, James J. Dillon, Wildfire Tommy Rich, let's see, Rugged Ronnie Garvin, the Nasty Boys, Rockin' Robin, and just listening to them. And then about 3 years ago, I got to be in the ring and got to do a show with Earl Hebner at Outbreak Wrestling up in Harrisburg. So it was up in Hamburg. It was absolutely amazing. I sitting there. I actually have a picture of myself with him, and I'm going, "Is this life right now? Is this real?" I'm standing next to one of the most legendary referees of all. Montreal Screwjob. He was there for Hulk Hogan's first championship win with the WWE. I mean, I'm sitting in the same locker room, and I'm just picking his brain the whole time.
Yeah, man. I mean, when I first started ring announcing, you mentioned Mark Mest. He gave me my shot in Outbreak Wrestling when they did the quarantine show, and I owe a lot to that man. But I did pick the brain of Kevin Kelly. I would have loved to have met and maybe picked the brain of like Howard Finkel or Tony Chimmel. But I did. You mentioned the Mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart. So I met him at the Legends at Hamburg Fan Fest. He was there. And I told him, I said, hey, Jimmy, I ring announced tonight's show. And he goes, do me a favor. He said, don't be Howard Finkel. Don't be Tony Chimmel. Don't be Michael Buffer. Be you. And so I try to do that. I try not to emulate I try not to imitate anybody else. I try to just be me with the volume turned up,
And well, that's the one thing that you learn in wrestling school. The first thing you learn is take your personality and dial it up to 11. And sometimes I have a habit of dialing up even higher, as you've well witnessed. The last Halloween show we did for 3WA being the one, me walking around with the rabbit head, with the frog head, bouncing around the ring like an idiot. But you know what? What I've learned is don't take this business for granted. You're here today, gone tomorrow. Injuries happen. Yeah. Life happens. And if it all came crashing down on me tomorrow and I couldn't do it anymore, I can look back and feel blessed that I have been in this ring. I have been in this ring with giants. I've got to pick the brains of some of the biggest stars that have come through professional wrestling. I've got to travel the roads. I've got to see parts of America that I never thought I would see. And Chad, I absolutely agree. Big guy, Big Al does an amazing job. Not only is he ring announced, but he's sitting back behind the announcer's table. Him and the professor, man, they do a hell of a job at making us look good out there.
Even when I make fun of your counts.
Oh, especially when you make fun of my counts. You bald headed git. Man, you tear me up, man. I've been listening.
Oh my god, it gets real funny when the professor gets, out of line, like when he gets highly offended about what I say about you. Like I'll say, Professor, wasn't it a couple of months ago that some young fan gave him a coloring book? You think you would have learned to count to 3 by now, no? Or something to that effect. And he'll go, will you leave that man alone? Or,
Hey, I've learned a lot from that coloring book, let me tell you. Learning the colors, not only was I learning numbers, man, dude, I was learning colors too. I mean, especially when I was counting as 1, 2, and 3. And if you don't know, I even have a book that was given to me by the same publisher, about how to make counts and how to make sure a match is always fair. And that book goes with me everywhere. I've learned a lot from that book, let me tell you.
Well, Kai Thomas disagrees with you
there. It's amazing. Kyle, be quiet, kid. Nurse that neck.
Yeah, please get well soon. Kai Thomason. And one other thing I wanted to say is Happy Veterans Day to all the veterans out there, and thank you for your service. I didn't say that at the top of the program, and I wanted to, and I forgot. So if you're just tuning in, Happy Veterans Day to all you veterans out there.
Oh, man, absolutely, man. You can't thank those guys enough. I have veterans in my family. My father and my uncle and my grandfather, God rest their souls, they were all military men.
But all military men? A lot?
Oh yeah, I mean my father was in Vietnam. My uncle was in Vietnam. My grandfather was in World War II. So I mean, definitely services there. And I also have a cousin who's currently in the Air Force. And much love and much respect to our armed forces. But it's funny when people found out I was going to be on here. I have a lot of my coworkers from my job during the day. They're all here. It's great. My sister's here. Everybody's here. We're all watching.
Give him a shout out,
You
man.
know, absolutely, to Paulette Vincent, to Ava, and Nicole, and Joe, and Tyler, and Sophia, and see who else is here. I see somebody else is here too. Juliana's here too. What's up? Yeah, all good people. Excellent people. Couldn't ask for a better work family.
Roblox says one thing I could say about Lance is he's always watches out for the guys in the ring. That's a good reputation to have. No.
Oh, absolutely. You have to. You're just as part of that match as the wrestlers that are involved. If you ever heard of Steve Stetson, early in his career, he did a show with us for AXW, and we were during a tag team match. He got kicked in the head and was knocked unconscious. He was laying in the corner. The opposing team went to hit him again, and even though I threw up the sign, that he was really legit hurt, the kid was still coming. Just as he got there, I grabbed him, picked him up, threw him over the ring rope, dropped him on the floor, told him not to step foot back in the ring. And I stood in front of him until the doc could get over there. Dr. Frank got over, and we got him out of the ring. Another instance was there was a match where it was a hardcore tag team match, and somebody decided to be thrown through a windshield, and we had to get him backstage. I was covering the guy's blood because he had so much glass in his back from going through the windshield. He was cut to ribbons. I remember Dr. Frank being backstage calling him everything but a child of God. I mean, so protecting these guys should always be paramount. Should always be paramount. You should be in a position that if you see something, somebody doesn't look good, you stop that match. I don't care who gets mad. I don't care if it's the wrestlers who get mad. I don't care if it's promoters that get mad. My first priority outside of just being a referee is safeguarding their lives. Always checking on them, making sure everybody's okay. Because I've seen guys break their arms in the ring. I've seen guys split their head open. I've seen some pretty gnarly injuries. 20 plus years in this business, the one thing we push is everybody goes home safe and sound.
Piranha wants you to count faster.
Man, he's always got something to say, man. He's always hungry. Go eat something, Piranha.
20 years in, yeah, you got the stories and you got and all the advice you just gave is great. I hope a lot of the young referees out there that either they're referees trying to be wrestlers or whatever, but usually, you don't find guys that are just, love doing that job, just love being the referee your whole career. That happened to you, but there are some wrestlers out there who are paying their due, so to speak, by learning the ring, by, being a referee first. So it's great advice, like everything that you've said so far, and these other guys have said, Roadblock and whatnot. It's great advice for you to give, and you've had the stories. My question to you is though, is there anybody that before you say I'm not doing this stuff anymore, is there anybody that you would love to at least referee one time that you never did?
That's actually a really good question. If I could referee anybody, I think I would love to referee like a Randy Orton match. I would love to do that. I would love to get the chance one more time to step in the ring and referee any one of the bloodline. Watching these guys stepping up You know, I met Jacob Fatu a few years ago at a show. Great guy. I've been in the ring with Alpha Jr. But if I could definitely be at, oh, here's one. How about being able to referee the Usos? Just once, man. Just once. I would love to do it. You know, I would just love that connection because I've gotten to know the Anawai side of the family with Samu and Lance and Alpha Jr. You know, I would love to be able to check out like Rikishi's side and hang out. But yeah, that would definitely be it right there. Like the Usos, Roman Reigns, maybe a Jacob Fatu match. Just to say I've had more of the Samoan dynasty.
What do you think of the new announcement of WWE ID? I see it's given a lot of, I've heard a lot of feedback from indie wrestlers. They're kind of excited about the opportunity. It's in case people are watching that don't know what that is. The WWE announced an independent developmental program where if you're an independent wrestler who would love to do this for a living, there are going to be WWE facilities. To my knowledge, there's 4 of them. Cody Rhodes has one in Georgia. Seth Rollins has one in Iowa. Rikishi has one in California, and there's one over here somewhere. So here in the Northeast. So those 4 are the first 4 official WWE ID. I think the other one's in Concord, New Hampshire, like up near wherever Triple H is from. So that's where the 4 are, and these are places that guys can go and learn and be in a developmental program that if they do well could lead to a shot at NXT. Like, what do you think of that whole program they got coming out now?
I think it's an excellent opportunity. You know, you think about how many young independent wrestlers there are, older independent wrestlers that still have life in them and would love just that one time to be able to just jump in there. You know what I mean? And be in that situation. I have figured on at least for myself, I want to see young independent guys getting those opportunities. Look at how many are coming up. You know, when they were doing the open invitationals with Braun Strowman and Kurt Angle, you know, and going to town, find different indie wrestlers. The one thing that I wish they would do, I always felt, oh, hey, I'm on. There we go. It's having an issue with my camera. It just popped on. All right.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's awesome.
Hi, Lance.
There I am. And my camera finally decided it wanted to work. I would probably say that these independent territory programs are setting up is probably going to be the breeding ground for the future. I mean, look at Lance Anawai. Yes, he's part of the bloodline, but through these type of developmental programs, you know, it's going to give him the opportunity to be WWE ready by the time he hits the screen. You know what I mean? And I think that's amazing. I think that these are great opportunities for young independent wrestlers all over the country, you know, to be seen and be seen. And even if some of them don't make it, the fact that the exposure they would get, you know, could really help them down the line. You know, even if they don't make it to WWE, I mean, you still got AEW, you got TNA, Ring of Honor, you know, New Japan, you know, and this is definitely a good stepping ground for all of that. You know, and I believe very, very thoroughly that, you know, the WWE is definitely taking that big step in the right direction with all this.
Do you think that this would exist if Vince were still in charge?
No, I really don't think it would, and I'll tell you why. Vince was there for Tough Enough, and we see how that went. like how many guys actually out of how many participants, only what, 3, 4 of them made it. I think this year is going to give people a lot more access. You know, I don't think Vince would be as open to it. Or if he did, he'd get his hand in there somewhere and sadly louse things up. But I mean, I think that this is a new era. You know, it's a new time. You know, and what time to be alive in this business. I mean, watching these kids get opportunities that maybe they would never have had. You know, I mean, how great is that? You know, I wish I would have had some of these opportunities. But I mean, like I said, I've been blessed to be able to be in this business as long as I have.
All right, man. Well, you're popping in and out on the internet, so I need you to go out and go back in again if you can. Hi Amber, best bonus dad ever. Definitely.
How's that?
That's better.
Okay, there you go. I came back. Yeah, unfortunately, it's not working. And Amber, thank you. Bonus Dad loves you. You know, that's another thing too. Being able to bring family and for them to see it. You know, I brag about what I do with my, with the people at work and people just on the street, my own family at home. You know, always tell them, "Oh man, you guys got to come out." So now I'm putting it out there because I know they're all watching. You're watching me live. You're watching me on a podcast. Now I want you guys to come out and see me live.
There you go.
I mean, I'm all over the place. I mean, 3WA right now has been a main focus because of how we're rebuilding and restructuring. You know, right now that's our main focus. But I mean, most people have seen me in the YouTube live on the Sanctuary. I have done Empire Wrestling in Auburn, New York. I've done shows for Mawa. I've done shows for High Ground. I've done shows, for a lot of companies, for Valor, for Classic Championship Wrestling. You know, it's amazing when you hit these roads with some of these people and get to meet people that you've never worked with before. You know, guys and girls that you see that you can tell they're stars. You see the ones that are stars in the making. I mean, I repped Ace Austin match in Outbreak's early days. It was him and Jamie Lynn Senegal. And the funny story about that was they were out wrestling. Nobody assigned a ref for their match. So they're out there wrestling, no ref. And I ran out real quick, jumped in the ring. I had no idea what was happening. I just went with the flow, but it kind of created a bond. Like there's times I've done many Ace Austin matches, especially when he's up at the Sanctuary. I've done many of his matches. And look at him. You know, he's on Impact. You know, he's been 2-time X Division champion, right now tag team champions. You know, and I knew him when he was just a skinny kid. If you're watching, love you, brother.
What do you think of the Motor City Machine Guns? And did you ever cross paths with them? Because I did beat those guys once.
Surprisingly enough, I have not. And it's amazing to me because I know, especially Alex Shelley, I know he's been through Pennsylvania quite a bit. And yet somehow our paths have never met. Now, I mean, I can tell you Nyla Rose and I've done many of her matches. You know, I've been in the ring with Sonny Kiss, you know, and it was an exciting time when I found out that both had got picked up with AEW. You know, and members of her Pennsylvania wrestling family running around trying to find their figures and stuff like that. Sadly, Sonny never got one. Apparently, well, I have one of Nyla's. Apparently, there's 2. Nyla, if you're watching, will you get me the Chase figure already? I need it. You know, it's just funny because I've watched so many people blow up. Trying to think who else I've been in the ring with. You know, I mean, I've been in the ring with so many people over the years. I mean, and I've watched some of them. Some of them started with 3WA, and now they're big. You know.
You refereed Statlander, didn't you?
Yeah, yeah, and
She's
let's
a big
see, God,
star in AEW.
yeah, and I've refed. In fact, I think I've refed 2 of her matches with 3WA. Back in Zern days. Let's see, Pretty Jimmy Dream, as we all know, went and made big waves in WWE. Even beat AJ Styles twice. I've been in the ring with him more times than I can count. Again, Lance Anoa'i. I've been in the ring with Appa Jr. You know, a lot of those guys are making big names for themselves. And I can honestly say that I've been blessed with this. I've been blessed to watch so many people have their first matches. And I was a referee. Like Ty Reno, his son TJ is now wrestling. Draven Blaze, his son Aiden. I remember holding Aiden on my shoulders when he was like 3 years old. And now he's doing big things.
What about Tyler Sims?
Oh, God, Tyler and I go back 20 years. I remember when him and Chucky D were the biggest star. Oh, God, yeah. Him and his pink fur coat. Oh, I remember them days. Him and Chucky D. God. And it's so funny because I look back on it now and, like, his kids wrestling. Ty's been on. Matter of fact, Ty was talking earlier.
He's been watching all. No, he's watching all night. He's right here. He thinks he's the biggest star in DWA.
Yeah, I see him right here. Make me the biggest star in 3WA. Kai, man, you keep doing what you're doing, kiddo. You know you're not going to be far off from being a big star. I mean, this kid takes my breath away watching him take flight. I mean, I think back, I'm like, oh my God, I remember when he was coming to the shows with his dad, just hanging out backstage. And now look at him. He's our high impact champion.
So we have 4 years ago when I first started coming to 3WA shows, had met that family. I remember him then to what he is now. And even when he first started wrestling, like a year and a half ago, maybe 2, and from what he was then to what he is now, like calling his matches has been so much fun because he just continues to get better. And it's a shame what happened to him. And I hope you get well soon, Kyle. I heard it was a bad move at a show last week, but hopefully he's going to be okay.
And the thing is, he's got incredible trainers. I mean, he's got his dad, he's got Malcolm King. I mean, he's got guys that will drill into him. And you can see their efforts in everything he does. You can tell he listens and he's paying attention. He's doing exactly what it is that he's been trained to do. I enjoy reffing his matches.
Roblox says that you reffed Ty Thomas and me for the first time in WA.
Absolutely. Yep. Matter of fact, his first match I ref. It blows my mind looking back at all these kids. I'm going, man, I remember you were playing with your toys on the floor. I remember when you were just coming out of pull-ups. I remember, and now it's like, damn, I'm reffing their matches. I'm insanely proud for every single one of them. But man, I feel old. Man, it's brutal, man. I'm like, man, another gray hair just popped up. But
you ready for some more gray hairs, Lance? Dino Sana is here. Great work, Lance. He's one of the best.
Oh, wow. Hey, Dino. How you doing, boss?
Shout out to Dino.
Absolutely. Yeah, man. Founder of Triple WA. Right there, man. I'll tell you, if it wasn't for Dino, I wouldn't be here right now, you know?
You got any like cool Dino stories? I mean, like PG rated.
Oh, man. G-rated. Oh, God. Let's see, him in the ring with Hackeye, and he's sitting there like smacking him around and like chasing Hackeye around the ring. I'm like, look at him go. And then just the way he puts Hackeye in his place, man, always good. Always the way he puts JT Cage in his place. I don't even have to do anything or say anything. If JT, if you're watching, go to bed. You know.
Speaking of him, man, when he saw the post of you being on this show, he had derogatory comments and anger emojis, and then Wyndham James Winthorpe III thought it was hysterical that you're going to be a guest on this show. You have anything to say to either one of those two gentlemen?
Man, when it comes to JT Cage, remember one thing, pal. You need to be this tall to take this ride. And the Winthrop, I'll tell you what. I'll wait for you to be flapjacked off the mat after Chad has beaten you so many times. You always hear you yelling about, you're not an English muffin. No, you are an English muffin. And Chad has done flattened your bread quite a few times. So just keep flapping. Up, 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 up.
Dino says miss you. See you all soon. David Motorman says, great show. Thanks for sharing. It's great to see Dino.
Absolutely.
Lance, you're bringing out the stars here today.
Oh, yeah, man. I didn't think anybody's going to pop on, but, man, here they all come.
I love the support. I love it.
Absolutely. So do I. And I give all the credit for my training and everything between the Mess brothers and the guidance of Zach Carlucci, Steve Chaz, Tanya Stevens, being able to be in the back with the great Earl Hebner, having that kind of mentorship and, that type of guidance. I mean, it's made me who I am, being in that ring, and the support of the fans. I'm just a referee, I'm just a guy in the stripes. That's how I've always viewed myself. I've never viewed myself as above what the guys are doing in the ring. I'm just as much a fan of what they do as the fans are. Excuse me. What we try to do is bring entertainment. Let people come and enjoy a show for 2-3 hours and, forget about their problems, and just enjoy the night. They get to, whether they cheer us, boo us, heckle us, as long as they leave satisfied, that's all that matters. It's all I ask for, is knowing people walked away, knowing that they've gotten their money's worth.
You talked about being booed, being cheered. Like, does it legit bother you if, like, say somebody like Carolina Jim announces you as the referee of the match and they boo you out of the building, kind of thing?
Oh no! See, back when I was first started, like I told you, I was a heel manager, and it was like my life's mission to get people to throw stuff at me. I mean, I wanted it. I was like, man, see guys like Heenan and and James J. Dillon and people like that, and they're getting stuff thrown at them. I'm like, I want that. And unfortunately, I mean, it's never happened, but I have been booed pretty hard, and you know what? I appreciate it. At least the fans are acknowledging that we're there. It's three guys in that ring. It's the wrestlers and the referee, but it's even more than that. It's also timekeepers. It's you and the professor. Anybody sitting at ringside calling the matches. You guys are what makes us look good.
Remember, Lance, we still watch Old Dick Worley too.
Oh wow, yes indeed, man. That's a name I haven't heard in a long, long, long time. Yeah, man, Dick Worley was that guy. You know, believe it or not, I have one of those shirts like Tommy Young and Dick Worley used to wear. The stripes with the collar. I actually
I
do
believe it.
have one. I believe it. You know, and it was funny because I always said if I ever got Tommy Young in a building with me, that was the shirt I was going to wear. You know, just because of the fact that he made that famous. You know, which also brings me to another point with young referees wanting to come up in the business.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here's something from somebody who's been doing it a long time. Appearance. Be clean shaven. Whether you're bald headed or have a full head of hair, you keep yourself looking sharp. Your
Good hygiene.
uniform, clean, pressed, washed. Your shoes, clean, good hygiene. Wear a belt, black dress shoe, black dress pants, and your stripes. Stripes are to be tucked in. That's one thing I have a pet peeve about is appearance. I've walked into buildings and the referee, I've had young referees go, "Oh, I'm the referee here." And I'm like looking at him like, seriously? You're wearing shorts. No, right. I sent a young referee once down to a local Walmart just to get himself a pair of black dress pants for the night because he looked crappy. I was like, no. You're doing a show with me. Here's how it goes. That was drilled in my head by Zach Carlucci. Appearance. If you're going to be professional, look the part.
I love it. Great advice. Great advice. You mentioned Zach Carlucci several times during this show. He has admitted to a lot of people that he's winding it down. He's cutting his shows down. He used to do as many shows as he could get his hands on, and now he's kind of cut it down to maybe 2 shows or 3. And he admitted to me once that he's going to try to get it down to basically 1 or 2 total. Which means to me that, somewhere down the road, he's going to wind this down and not do this anymore. Has that thought crossed your mind since we're talking about that?
To be honest, sure it has. I mean, sadly, I'm not getting any younger. I'm 51 years old. Back isn't what it was. Knees aren't what they are. It sometimes I'm exhausted. Sometimes I'm winded. I try not to look blown up, but inside I could be blown up.
Sometimes you're hungry enough to eat Applebee's.
Yeah, exactly. Hungry enough to eat after Applebee's, or that one occasion when we're all sitting at the table and I was falling asleep sitting there, practically my head in the potatoes. I mean, it's happened. But
good thing you didn't order soup.
Exactly. I would have been drowning in it. It'd been like blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I mean, it would have been like a fellow thing. I mean, it does. I've cut a lot of shows down because of the fact that the travel time, wear and tear, just on the vehicle, on the body, traveling from state to state, yeah. It takes its toll after a while. I have been fortunate for 20 plus years to be in this business. I have been fortunate to travel the roads. I have been fortunate to bump elbows with some of the biggest names in the business. Yeah. At one time I was doing 4 shows a weekend. I'd do one on Friday, sometimes double shot Tuesday, and sometimes, if I was able to, maybe even do one on a Sunday, sometimes maybe 2. And that was great when, I was in my late 20s, early 30s. But, I can't do things like that anymore. I mean, I was doing so many shows to the point to where, Sue kind of told me, she's like, we haven't been on vacation for quite a while because, you're doing so many shows, and you got to take that into account at some point. Like when you're young in this business, it's okay to be hungry. It's okay to travel the roads. It is okay to put in the miles. I would recommend it to anybody in the business. Get those miles in. Hit as many shows as you can. You know, get as many bookings. Go to training as many nights as possible. But there does come a time where your body's you find that you're slowing down. You know, maybe you're not as quick as you were. Maybe you're not hitting the ropes as hard as you were. They're signs. You know, we have a bump card in this business. And my bump card's pretty full. You know, I've taken bumps from one end of the East Coast to the other. And it gets to a point sometimes where I get home, I'll pull in my driveway after a show or after a weekend of doing shows, and I can barely get out of the car. You know, I can't move like that.
There it is.
You know, and it's at that point where you have to say to yourself, start winding down. That doesn't mean you have to leave the business. You can take on the role of a mentor. Go to the school that you're from. Go mentor the next generation. You know, come to shows. There's other things you can do. I can sit behind an announce table with you guys. I could do any of that stuff.
Bring it.
You know, oh, I would love to. You know, I would love to be back behind the table sometime.
I know the professor
You know,
would love it, man. All right, so I'll get one more comment in there before we get out of here. And I want to, first off, tell the professor, if he watches this later, he just missed an awesome interview. It was great. A lot of candor, great stories, great lessons to be learned by those out there who are trying to get into the business and things like that. So I want to thank you on behalf of everybody that was watching. Awesome interview, awesome time, and great stories. I could talk to you all night long, but I try to wrap it up in an hour. I got one last comment in, though, and that's the Roadblock. Chad McCoy says, well, brother, we're not getting any younger. Some of us are a little older than others. And, yeah, that kind of wraps up pretty much what you just said. But, yeah, is there anything that we did not get to talk about that you would like to talk about before we get out of here?
Really, maybe the next 3WA show, I believe it's November 27th, I believe.
23rd.
23rd.
At 23rd at the Q Mart. We would love to see everybody there. You know, we want to see new faces as well as our, you know, our 3WA family. You know, we want to see you guys.
There's my 3WA banner right there.
Absolutely. You know, we want to see you. It's not that bad a price to get in, and it's a great night with the family. You'll see great professional wrestling. You'll get to meet the performers at intermission. They'll buy shirts.
Intermission,
very family friendly.
Very family friendly.
Absolutely.
The thing about 3WA is, man, I've been to shows where, you know, it's not exactly family friendly. Like they might have a little bit too much hardcore, or maybe a little bit, you know, for the kid, not really for the kids. The one thing I say about 3WA, it's that old school mentality. They just want to put on a great show, has some great matches, has some great happenings going on there, and you get to be intimate, like you said, with the crowd. The crowd is part of the show, man. I mean, the crowd leads the show. The crowd chants all night long. They have different things that they get on the wrestlers' nerves. That's why they're there to do that. And if you haven't been to a 3WA show, it is at the Q Mart in Quakertown, the fourth Saturday of every month. This month included, which is November the 23rd. So it's the fourth Saturday. Look on your calendar, the fourth Saturday of every month. Doors open at 6. This guy's one of the referees.
Absolutely. And we want to see you there. So everybody who's watching tonight, everybody who's listening at home, come on out for a great night. You know, we'd love to see you there.
All right, Lance, when I go off the air, do not go
anywhere, right, man?
All right, brother. It's good talking to you.
I want to thank each and every one of you guys that commented. Amber, the family, all everybody. It was absolutely great that you guys came here to support Lance Marshall's. He just needs to learn to count. Yes, that's Amber talking, not me. That's Amber talking, not me, Lance. But anyway, I'll let you respond to that in a second. But anyway, thank you, Mr. Motorman. Thank you, Dino Sana, for popping up. Roadblock Chad McCoy. Kai Thomas, the high impact champion, stopped in. Prince Piranha stopped in. I mean, the stars came out for Lance Marshall's, and I know it's all out of respect. Juliana, all you guys that popped in and made a comment. Paulette, thank you from the bottom of my heart. I don't do this show for me. I don't do it for the professor. We don't do it for us. We do it for you guys. We do it for the wrestlers, the promoters, the referees, like everybody that's involved in this business, because we love it and we've loved it. I've loved it for 40 years, man. So that's why I do what I do. I love ring announcing just as much as I love calling these matches. I love getting on Lance's case during 3WA show. Like, I love all of it. So I'm going to be I will not be at the November 23rd show, but I'm looking to come back in January. So 3WA has not necessarily announced the December show yet, but I did let them know that I'll be back in January, and that's when I will be back. Chad looked like he had one more thing in here, but let me see what this says. One thing I could say about Lance, he always watches out for guys in the ring. Yeah, we already saw that. Whatever. Thank you for having him on. David, thank you. Thank you for having him on. Absolutely. Any final words, Mr. Marshalls?
Any final words, Mr. Marshalls?
This was a great opportunity, and I'd like to say thank you to everyone who tuned in. This is one of the best podcasts in professional wrestling, bar none. Tune in every time you see it pop up. Like and subscribe. Hit that bell for notifications whenever we go live here. We definitely want to see you here. You guys have a great night. From behalf of myself, the Iron Man of Refs, Lance Marshalls, and the 3WA, on behalf of Big Al and the Professor, good night, everyone.
We will be back in 2025, fans. January 5th. Until then,
Until then,
Professor,
we're the Professor,
Mr. Marshall.
Mr.
This is
Marshall.
Around the Turnbuckle.
This is Around the Turnbuckle.
You think you know me?
Oh, yeah. If you smile. Calculations are correct. When this baby hits 88.